I think this is where I came in.
There you are.
And this is where you hit him.
It's going round again. The tape is going round in a loop.
Well, of course. I record in loops. Lassoing my material. No, like trawling. No, like... no matter.
Poor Donner.
Round and round, recording layer
There you are.
upon layer of silence, while Donner dozed after a heavy lunch, the spools quietly folding silence upon itself. Yes, like packing linen into trunks. Fold, until the footsteps broke it and woke him. How peaceful it was, in the afternoon in the great houses before the Great War, to doze after a luncheon with only a fly buzzing in the stuffy room and a sense of the maids somewhere quietly folding the linen into pine chests. Donner knew the postprandial nap. His people were excellently connected. With mine, in fact. I suppose we should let someone know. Though not necessarily the entire circumstances. I'm not one to tell tales if no good can come of it.
I will stand by you, Beauchamp. We have been together a long time.
You may rely on me, Martello. I shall not cast the first stone.
You have cast it, Beauchamp, but I do not prejudice you.
My feelings precisely, but there seems to be some confusion in your mind.
My very thought. Turn off your machine. It seems to be disturbing your concentration.
There you are.
There you are.
On the contrary, Beauchamp, there you are. Unless we can agree on that, I can't even begin to help you clear up this mess.
Well, don't touch him, Martello.
I don't mean clear up Donner. Honestly, Beauchamp, you buffoon.
Cynic.
Geriatric.
Murderer.
As I was saying, I shall help you so far as I can to get through the difficult days ahead, whether in duplicity or in the police courts, depending on how you intend to face the situation. But I shall do so only on the condition that we drop this farce of accusation and counter-accusation. You had only 2 friends in the world, and having killed one, you can't afford to irritate the other.
Very well. I gave you your chance, and now I'm going to get the police.
A very sensible decision. You are too feeble to run and too forgetful to tell lies consistent with each other. Furthermore, you are too old to make the gain worth the trouble. Be absolutely frank with them, but do not plead insanity. That would reflect undeserved credit on 3 generations of art critics.
I must say, Martello, I have to admire your gall.
Stress all mitigating factors, such as Donner's refusal to clean the bath after use, and his infuriating mannerisms, any of which might have got him murdered years ago. Remember how John used to say, if Donner whistles the opening of Beethoven's Fifth in 6/8 time once more, I'll kill him?
John who?
Augustus John.
No, it was Edith Sitwell.
Rubbish. You're getting old, Beauchamp.
I am 2 years younger than you, Martello.
Anybody who is 2 years younger than me is senile. It is only by a great effort of will that my body has not decomposed. Which reminds me, you can't leave Donner lying there at the bottom of the stairs for very long in this weather. And that is the only practical argument. How long can you ethically leave him?
It is nothing to do with me.
Beauchamp, I am shocked. You were at school together. You signed his first manifesto as he signed yours. You have conjured with his name and traveled on his ticket, shared his roof, his prejudices, his occasional grant, eaten his bread and drunk his health. Oh, God forgive my brain. It is so attuned to the ironic tone, it has become ironical in repose. I have to whip sincerity out of it as one whips responses from a mule. To put it plain, you have been friends for over 60 years.
Well, the same goes for you.
Yes, but you killed him.
I did no such thing, and you have good reason to know it. I am thoroughly disillusioned in you, Martello. I was willing to bend over backwards to see your side of it, but I can't stand a chap who won't come clean when he's found out.
I, on the other hand, admire your hopeless persistence. But the tape recorder speaks for itself. That is, of course, the point about tape recorders. In this case, it is eloquent, grandiloquent, not to say grundiloquent. God, if only I could turn it off. No wonder I have achieved nothing with my life. My brain is on a flying trapeze that outstrips all the possibilities of action. Mental acrobatics, Beauchamp. I have achieved nothing but mental acrobatics. Nothing! Whereas you, however wrongly and for whatever reason, came to grips with life at least this once and killed Donner.
It's not true, Martello.
Yes, I tell you, nothing! Niet! Nada! Nix! A few pieces here and there, a few scandals. Zurich, Paris, Buenos Aires. But all in all, nothing. Not even among the nihilists. I tell you, Beauchamp. It's no secret between us that I never saw much point in your tonal art. I remember saying to Sophie, in the early days, when you were still using gramophone discs, Beauchamp is wasting his time, I said. There will be no revelations coming out of that, no truth. And the critics won't listen either, and they didn't. Oh, but this time, you've got them by the ears. It has the impact of newsreel. In my opinion, it's a tour de force.
You are clearly deranged. It is probably the first time a murderer has tried to justify himself on artistic grounds. As it happens, you are also misguided. Far from creating a tour de force, you ruined what would have been a strand in my masterwork of accumulated silence, and left in its place a melodramatic fragment whose point will not be lost on a jury.
There you are.
There, indeed, he is, ladies and gentlemen, caught by the fortuitous presence of a recording machine that had been left running in the room where Mr. Donner was quietly working on a portrait from memory, a portrait fated to be unfinished.
Poor Donner. You never had much luck with Sophie.
For the existence of this recording, we have to thank Mr. Beauchamp, a fact which argues his innocence, were it ever in doubt. Mr. Beauchamp, an artist who may be familiar to some of you.
If you are extremely old and collect trivia.
And his friends, Mr. Donner and the man Martello, lived and worked together in a single large attic studio approached by a staircase which led upwards from the landing, and was guarded at the top by an insubstantial rail, through which, as you will hear, Mr. Donner fell.
An accident, really.
If you say so.
You didn't mean to kill him. It was manslaughter.
You will hear how Mr. Donner, while working, dozed off in his chair. Footsteps approach. Someone has entered quietly. Who? No visitors came to this place. Martello and Mr. Beauchamp met their acquaintances outside, formerly at the Savage, latterly in public houses. And Mr. Donner, who was somewhat reclusive, not to say misanthropic, had no friends at all, except the other two, a fact whose importance speaks for itself.
There you are.
Not, who the devil are you? Or, good Lord, what are you doing here? I haven't seen you for donkey's years. No, there you are. The footsteps can only have belonged to the man Martello.
Or, of course, the man Beauchamp. I don't see where this is getting us. We already know perfectly well that it was one of us, and it is absurd that you should prevaricate in this way when there is no third party to impress. I came home to find Donner dead, and you at the top of the stairs fiddling with your tape recorder. It is quite clear that I arrived just in time to stop you from wiping out the evidence.
But it was I who came home and found Donner dead, with your footsteps on the machine. My first thought was to preserve any evidence it had picked up, so I very quietly ascended.
Beauchamp, why are you bothering to lie to me? You are like a man on a desert island, refusing to admit to his only companion that he ate the last coconut.
For the very good reason that while my back was turned, you shinned up the tree and guzzled it. And incidentally, I see that you have discovered where I keep my special marmalade. That's stealing, Martello. Common theft. That marmalade does not come out of the housekeeping.
It must have been Donner.
It was not Donner. Donner never cleaned the tub, and he always helped himself to cheese in such a way as to leave all the rind. But he never stole my marmalade because he didn't like marmalade. He did steal my honey, I know that for a fact, and he had the nerve to accuse me of taking the top off the milk.
Well, you do.
Because I have paid the milkman 4 weeks running. It's my milk.
I suppose we should leave a note for him. 2 pints a day will be enough now.
Since you will be in jail, 1 pint will be ample. Poor Donner. He was not so easy to get on with in recent years, but I shall always regret that my last conversation with him was not more friendly.
Were you rowing about the housekeeping again?
No. He was rather unfeeling about my work in progress, as a matter of fact.
He was rude about mine the other day. He attacked it.
He said mine was rubbish.
Or did he attack you? Was that it?
There you are.
Why did he resent me? He seemed embittered. Lately,
He'd been brooding.